Hi, welcome to Pain and Revival Podcast. I hope everyone's having a wonderful day. I'm going to set a disclaimer. Neither of us are licensed professionals in psychology or anything, so any advice given is based only on experience. So do with that what you will. Today, I have a very special guest, one of my favorite people in the whole world, Vicki Fox. How are you doing today?
I am doing near perfect. Thank you so much for having me on. I love your podcast. I'm your biggest fan.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so today we're going to get into Vicki's story. I heard her story a few weeks ago, and I was really inspired, and it really kind of touched kind of pulled on my heartstrings. So, um, you want to go ahead and take it away?
Sure. I was so inspired by your very first, I was inspired by you when I first met you many years ago at a chiropractic seminar that we both attend, Dynamic Essentials. And the more I've learned about you, the more I've admired you. And then you came out with this podcast. And I knew even before the first episode that you are beginning to change and save lives even before your chosen career as a chiropractor. And seriously, I've listened to every one of your podcasts, and I know there's only been a handful, but you're so inspirational. And it made me reflect on my story of pain and revival. And so then I shared that with you. And so here I am.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes. So, I had a lot of pain growing up, not not in the way you had pain, but pain nonetheless. And I was really sick growing up. Um, Spent the first 2 years of my life in and out of hospitals where I would have to be a patient there, was just really sick from the very beginning. And throughout my whole childhood, for about 30 years, I was on and off deathly sick. I couldn't adapt to my environment. I couldn't play outside. I couldn't play in the snow. I couldn't catch fireflies in the summer because everything would affect me. And even mentally, I was really mentally sick as well as physically sick. So throughout grade school, I had severe digestive issues and I had emotional issues, to the point where I would take a knife and cut my clothes, like just slice my clothes up, or my bed, my mattress. I would tear my room apart. And the medical doctors, as what with medication to try to control everything happening in me, would tell my mom and dad to hold me down, pin me down so that I could fight them, and that would help relieve some of the aggression. And that never worked. It would make it a lot worse. And then they told my parents to put me in an institution. They said, you have three other kids, and this is a sick one, and we can't do anything for her. There's nothing more we can do. You really need to institutionalize her and let somebody else take care of her so you and your family could just go on with your life. Thank God my parents did not listen to the medical doctors, although I know that it was a really trying time for my entire family. In sixth grade, I really remember trying to kill myself by jumping out of a window on our second floor. It was my bedroom, and I was right on that ledge about to jump off. And the reason I did not do that was because my brother saw me and he started yelling and he got my mom. And of course, I didn't want to get in trouble. So instead of going one way, I came back into the window and just said I wasn't trying to do anything. But I was always trying to find ways to help with the physical and emotional pain that I was going through. I remember I would keep a safety pin when I was driving, and it would be up in my car. I was 16, 17 years old, and I would take that safety pin and cut my arm because that would numb the emotional pain by feeling that physical pain. Or I would take an iron. I would plug in the iron in our basement, and I would singe my arm with the iron because that was a way to make a physical pain, to take away from that emotional pain. And so my body I was just constantly adapting to all the sickness and illness in my life. And I met a chiropractor, the chiropractor that I work with now. I get to serve alongside of him. And I was 31 years old, and I literally found out about chiropractic for the very first time. My parents had never heard of a chiropractor, and I came in for neck pain. And this chiropractor said, "Well, I don't treat neck pain, and I can't promise your neck pain is going to go away." And I thought, "What kind of specialist are you?" And I said, "I'm on 14 medications a day." That was age 31. And I was on 14 medications a day to treat all these symptoms, giving me the illusion that I was better, um, without ever addressing what was causing any of these issues. Because how would you know any better if nobody's ever, you don't know what you don't know. And so he had told me Mayo Clinic can't even promise that they're going to take away your issues. They can't promise to cure you. They promise to give you medications or surgeries or therapies or treatments or even holistic approaches, which is basically the same as medication. It could be healthier for you, but there are all ways to treat symptoms in your body. But he said, but what I'm going to do is work with a system that nobody's ever touched before, and that's your nervous system. And we got into what chiropractic was. I had no clue what he was talking about, honestly, but it was such a different message, and I needed hope. And so I began chiropractic care. And within 2 weeks, my neck pain was totally gone. So I could really have stopped right there. I came in for neck pain, the neck pain was gone. But I was a licensed cosmetologist, and I was scheduled for double carpal tunnel surgery that I had had for 10 years, because why not just add something else to what I have? And um, I noticed a difference in my fingers and in my hands. And what was odd is that he never touched my hands or my wrists. I had all sorts of therapies and treatments done, and nothing helped. And here's this doctor working with the second vertebra in my neck. It was my C2, my axis. And that was affecting not only my neck pain, but also my fingers and my hands. So I decided to postpone my surgery, which I did, and postponed it again. And within about 6 months, my wrists and my fingers were about 50% better. And after a year of continued chiropractic care, my carpal tunnel was gone, and I was off of 7 of my drugs. And after 3 years, I was off of all 14 medications. So it wasn't this magic pill, it wasn't this overnight fix, but it was my body beginning to heal in a way that I never knew possible. And when that happened to me, and I was able to get off of all my medications, including everything for my mental and emotional issues, not just my physical health, but how do you not tell people about that? So you have the depth of pain that sometimes people feel bad. My mom would say, "I'm so sorry. I wish I knew about chiropractic when you were younger." And I honestly never thought like that, because if I didn't go through that pain and that hell and those trials, then I wouldn't be on the other side of it to be able to tell people about a different way out, about chiropractic. And so it just comes full circle. You said in your first podcast, Nevaeh, that you don't want this to be a chiropractic podcast. It's not a chiropractic podcast. But when you know the philosophy of chiropractic the way we do, you look through that lens at your entire world.
Mhm.
Everything is chiropractic, your whole world. And so your story and my story, even though they're very different, they're really similar, because we both came from this depth of hell into a place of revival, and we can share that with other people.
Yeah. So I have a question. What's your advice to say middle school, high school people, or even elementary school, who are thinking about trying to commit suicide or self-harming? Because I know I was one of those people.
Mhm.
And it's like crazy because people don't believe you when you're that young. And like when you say, yeah, I tried to do that, they're like, oh, you were doing it for attention or, stuff like that. And I'm like, that's crazy because just because you're young doesn't mean you can't feel that way. So what's your advice?
That's a good question. And if anybody is watching this, I am not saying that you don't need medical help. I'm not saying that, there's hotlines to call. And I'm not against medication, because medication saved my life. There's a time and place for it, just like there's a time and place for the fire department. When your house is on fire, you need to call 911. and they will come into your house and they will potentially save your life. But they come in with hoses and axes and dirty boots, and your house, your temple, is destroyed, even though your life may be saved. My life was saved by those medications, but my temple was also destroyed internally. So get, that crisis care is there for a reason. So if you're in that state, absolutely seek help, but also look at what could be causing this, because nerve interference, as you know, vertebral subluxations affect everything. They're always detrimental to your health and life. And you can't feel a subluxation, but you may feel the effects of that subluxation. And that could be anything chemically, physically, or emotionally that you go through, because your nervous system created everything and it controls everything. So that's why your podcast is so vitally important, because you're going to reach a demographic that I can't reach. Chiropractors can't reach. People don't want, your age group does not want to sit there and listen to middle-aged adults. Well, most people your age. You clearly do, but we know you're special. So it's so important to get that word out. There's hope. There's always hope. And parents need to know that there's another way. So they may need, we like to tell people, you may need things in addition to chiropractic care, but you will never need something instead of chiropractic care. You need to make sure that nervous system is clear, that your brain and all those 3 trillion messages that it processes every second are reaching every tissue cell, because you can't heal and function at your God-given potential with nerve interference. You're on plan B. You can live without chiropractic, but you can't live well. And it affects, I think that people so much think that that we're treating symptoms, especially physical treatment, physical issues, but they're not looking at the emotional part and the mental part. And right now in this world of chaos, we need to be more vocal. We need to be that beacon of light and that beacon of hope. And we need to keep telling that story and letting people know, because like I said, you don't know what you don't know. So there's a lot of Vickis out there with that emotional and physical and mental issues. There's a lot of Nevaehs out there that need to know what they can do, and so that they can reach their full potential as well.
Yeah.
Make a difference in this world like you.
Yeah. So I can definitely say vouch for chiropractic in so many different ways, but I'm very hard on myself. I tend to not give myself enough credit. But going to chiropractic conferences and being adjusted by a good chiropractor, like, I can tell you that it changes my mindset a little bit, and it really helps. And I think, especially for you and for me, you have to change your mindset as you get older and as you're out of that situation. Um, you have to change your mindset. So how did you change your mindset? Was there any changing of the mindset for you?
I think that great question, Nevaeh. I believe that was a process that I innately went through. I can't even educatedly think about, when did my mindset change? I know my first appointment, when here's this doctor telling me, I can't promise your neck pain is going to go away. And I was like, what is this? What kind of place is this? This doctor's, I'm here for help, but he's not promising me. So it was the very first entryway into a different philosophy. The only philosophy that is from above down, inside out. Because like I said, even massage therapy is a medical philosophy. Even though there's holistic treatments, that is still a treatment mindset. And that's still a medical philosophy. So I believe that from that very first time that I walked into Creation Chiropractic and I heard this message, and of course I was clearly a deer in the headlights. You can't tell them everything, when you have a new person or somebody who's suffering so greatly, like, let me just tell you everything about chiropractic. That's the first thing we want to do. But there's a time and place for that. And you have to be able to read that person in front of you to see what they're ready to learn. My brain did not have the capacity to understand the 33 principles. You know, I just needed to know healing takes time. I just needed to know principle number 6. It takes time. And then slowly I would come in a little bit earlier for my appointments, and I would stay a little bit later and ask questions. I had so many questions because I thought, if this is helping me, and I didn't think anything could ever help me, how many other people are out there that need help? And so I think it was a gradual change in my mindset. You know, you bring up a really good point, Nevaeh, about you're feeling judged. You're feeling like people think, oh, you're making that up, or you just want attention. You're gonna have that not only at age 13, you're gonna have that at age 30, at age 50, at age 70. So it has to be your mindset that changes. You only can control your thought process. There's always going to be naysayers. There's always going to be people that judge you. Let them. That's their business. That's none of your business. That's up to them. You keep putting the truth out, and there's a difference in being proud. I guess being humbly proud, because I am humbly proud to be part of this profession, but I'm not egotistical about it. We approach people with pure love in our hearts because we love them and we love humanity, and we need to help as many people as we can with the truth.
Mhm. So to your point, like it doesn't matter what they say because it's not your business. I've learned, especially being a teenager, you have to learn that people are going to say stuff. They're going to say stuff your whole life, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, what matters is what you say to yourself. And the problem comes in is when they say something and you believe it. They can say something and it doesn't matter. You
Yep.
put the meaning to it. And you can
Exactly.
also you can put a meaning to it, but make it let you um, let it rise you above what they're saying and be like, "Okay, if that's what you think, let me show you what I'm not."
Yeah.
That's Go ahead.
You can spend your whole life trying to convince people of who you are. You know, well, this is what I meant. And there's a fine line. You want to always, I always try to be a better communicator. And if I hear from people that I'm coming across a certain way, I'm going to think about that. Well, let me kind of look back at what I'm saying or what I'm doing, that people are thinking this about me. You know, you can say, oh, well, so what? You know, forget you. Or you can say, okay, well, what exactly am I saying or doing that may be coming across that way? Because the goal is to reach people and to teach people and to educate them and to help them and to serve them and to love them. And you won't be able to do that if people are turned off by the way you are speaking your message. And I think your age, you are so far beyond in your experience and in your wisdom and in your maturity than kids your age. You're 13, and when I talk to you, I feel like I'm talking to, this a young adult. And I have to remind myself, you're just a teenager. Like, you just became a teenager this past year. It's crazy. So, and you're teaching chiropractors and chiropractic advocates and your peers and other adults about how to overcome the adversities in this world, and how to be able to process and to adapt to those adversities in a way that they would have never been able to before.
Right. Yeah, I feel like I know some chiropractors who they're so set on their ways, and that's great. Like, that's great to be so rooted in your passion and what you believe, but they're not willing to not necessarily change your story, but change the way you say it to certain people, because some chiropractors are very aggressive with their passion, and I get that and I understand that. I'm the same way. But some people are very soft-hearted and they cannot handle you to speak to them that way. You have to talk to them in a softer way,
Yes,
and that's why we need millions of chiropractors, because everyone's
absolutely.
different, and I'm not going to be able to reach the same person that you're going to be able to reach, not just because of past trauma, but because of who we are as a person.
Exactly. You can change the way you deliver the message, but don't change the message. You don't
Exactly.
want to change the philosophy, but change the way you deliver it. And also be true to yourself, because we're all made differently. We're going to reach different people with our, like you said, with what we've experienced and who we are.
Yeah. I've had to learn recently, like, that I cannot save every puppy in the pound. Like, you have to get that into your mind that you're not gonna change the whole world. You're not gonna be
Right.
able to change every single person.
It's
You
true.
can try, but you're not going to, and you're gonna be let down quite a lot.
It's true. It's true. And you see people suffering and you want to help them. I'm I'm the same way. I want to help everybody, but you can't change what they believe and how they act on it. You can only speak the truth from your heart with love, which is why we go to DE, because it helps us be around our tribe, the people who are in the trenches with us doing the exact same thing, and then we get built back up and we can get back out there, and we're going to get let down sometimes, but we just keep having to keep going forward with our message of truth and letting people know.
Yeah,
And you're
1000%.
doing a great job at it, Nevaeh.
Thank you, so are you. Um, that was such a great, story. I love your story, for so many different reasons. It's just such an inspiration because I relate to that, um,
Yeah,
to the self-harm and, all that. But my brother, like, I witnessed my brother be the way you are, and I'm just like, I know that chiropractic could have helped him if I could have, stayed with him. But you're just such an inspiration, and I cannot wait to see how far this reaches so many people. Because I already know, like, I can see it. It's, like, innate.
yeah.
This episode is gonna reach, like, hundreds of people because of how powerful your story is, and I really appreciate you coming on today.
Nevaeh, thank you. Thank you for your transparency. Thank you for your message. And thank you for not listening to naysayers. Just keep doing what you're doing. You are an inspiration, and I love you so much.
Thank you, I love you too. Thank you everyone for coming and listening to this episode today. I hope everyone has a wonderful day, and tune in to next week's episode at 6 a.m. on Thursday. Bye.